books that I buy from at the conferences and stuff.
You got that many books? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a whole slug of them over here and over there.
Oh my goodness.
Everywhere.
That's amazing.
I even got a DVD autographed by Travis Walton.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. Are you back at your other house now, or are you at the new place?
No, I'm at my same old house in East Carbon.
Okay, because you had moved to get closer to the hospitals or whatever, right?
Well, I was going to, but it's too darn expensive up there.
Wow.
In Salt Lake, for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, shoot, you're looking at $1,600 a month.
Unreal. It might go down after this flu thing goes on. There may be people scrambling just to keep their head above the water. Well,
I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die like they say I am.
That's right. But there's lots of people. I know one girl, the first one to die in our city. I know who she was. So it's kind of, there's lots that's going around. But I'm glad you're doing it, because you're looking pretty good for a guy that was supposed to be out of here months ago.
Yeah, I know. It's going on a year, and they told me I'd be lucky if I lived that long.
Wow, yeah. So everything, the tests are all good, the liver and the
yeah, no problem. No sign of liver failure or kidney failure.
Wow.
They said those would be the first 2 to go.
There you go. Well,
I think LB's helping me.
Yeah, you've got it going. They want you to finish off some work, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. But I still think a lot of my what I'm supposed to do, I think a lot of it's on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? It's just a thought.
Yeah. You got any plans to come back when you finally leave? I mean, because that's what I want to talk to you about tonight.
That's what I want to come back and visit you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And if I outlive you, that would be the key. But
yeah.
Yeah. So let's go through this story. You told this story. I saw you posted it with the Sasquatch. Go into the sort of the history of you're working on Sasquatch and how this event takes place.
Yeah. Okay. You've been to Marley's meetings. I know you have.
Yes.
I've seen you there.
Yeah.
Did you know a man named Daryl Smith?
I probably met him. If I had seen a picture, I would probably know him. Yeah.
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 He, when I started going to Marley's meetings, he would give presentations on Bigfoot.
Okay.
And I was so excited. At one meeting, we stayed afterward and talked outside.
Yeah.
And we got together and started going out looking for evidence together. And oh, shoot. I guess it was about 2 years after we started doing this, he contacted ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's a bad way.
And it was pretty bad for him. I'd go up and spend the day with him.
Yeah.
And he got to where he was paralyzed, couldn't move.
Oh, terrible.
And about a week before he died, I interviewed him and have it on a disc.
Oh, wow.
And he told me that when I go, I'm going to try everything in my power to come back and visit you.
Wow.
And I told him that I wouldn't expect any less from you. I would do the same for you.
Yeah.
And after he died, after the funeral, I think it was about 3 weeks to a month.
Okay.
I had this vivid dream, and he came to me in like a white haze.
Yeah.
And he told me, he says, Ron, he says, I know everything about Sasquatch. And he says, you would be surprised what I know. Wow. But he says, I cannot tell you. He says he's not allowed to reveal it to anybody on Earth. And so he says, but all I can tell you, Ron, is be prepared. Something wonderful is going to happen to you.
Wow.
And then I woke up. And so I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. So about, I think it was about a month went by after that. And then something woke me up in the middle of the night. And I had an intuition to go into the living room.
Yeah.
So I got up, came into the living room here, and this white light appeared in my living room.
Okay.
And it turned into a vertical beam, just exactly like the ones when LB would come visit me.
So like a tower of light?
Yeah.
And why would it be?
It was probably about 8 inches in diameter.
Okay, okay.
And so this figure started to manifest. And it was a Bigfoot. And he had to have been about 8 foot tall because his head almost touched my ceiling. I got 8-foot ceilings.
Wow, wow.
And he started talking to me, and he called me my brother. And he says, your old partner, Daryl Smith, asked me to come visit you. And I'm thinking, wow, everything seemed so surreal. It was really weird.
Yeah.
And he says, I would like to take you to meet my family. We have family structures just like, you humans.
Okay. And
he says, will you go with me? And I go, sure. So he turned kind of back into a pillar of light and turned into it. And then it kind of shrunk down into a ball of light. And then I turned into a light. And then everything turned kind of like a hazy white.
Yeah.
And then when I came to, I was in this cave, and there was like 8 other Bigfoot in there.
Wow.
And they were, one of them was ripping a deer apart and offered me a piece of it. And I told him, no thanks. And then he started telling me that this is my family. And he says, we have family structures just like, you do. And then he says that what's weird is I could feel it was cold in there, and I was freezing my buns off.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could feel the dirt on my feet and everything.
Yeah.
But anyways, he says it's time you need to go back. So I turned into a pillar of light again, and everything turned to fuzzy white. And then I came to, I was standing in the middle of my living room. And I thought, wow, this is probably the special thing that Daryl was telling me about. Yeah. And I was just beside myself with this. So I think it was it was on May 4th, 2012.
Okay.
I got an email from a gentleman in Helper, Utah, the next town over.
Okay.
From where I live, and he had a Sasquatch sighting in Sea Canyon, which is about 5 miles from where I live here.
Okay.
And so I sent him an email back and told him that I would go investigate it, see if I can find any evidence.
Yeah.
So I went there for 5 days, never saw nothing. Saw some possible tracks, but they were degraded so bad.
Yeah.
I just kind of shrugged them off. And then I finally got a hold of him, and I told him, I said, I can't find any evidence. And so it was May 12th.
Okay.
And I was in Price, Utah, and I stopped off at my cousin's house.
Okay.
And I asked him if he wanted to go up and see where the Bigfoot sighting was. And he said, sure. So we hopped in my Grand Cherokee and took off up there. And didn't have any cameras with me, no voice recorders, nothing. Yeah. I just planned on going up there, showing them, and then heading back to Price.
Yeah.
And that was a big mistake. That's when we saw him. Me and my cousin.
Yeah.
And he was about 90 feet off the side of a dirt road, standing in a little clearing. And I'm just cussing myself out because I didn't have a camera or nothing with me. Didn't even have a camera phone with me.
Yeah.
And so we went, after he left, the Bigfoot,
Yeah.
we started to walk down there. And we get about halfway there, and my cousin drops to his knees down on the ground. And he says there's two more standing off to the right of us, but they're back in the pinyon pines. He says, I can see their feet.
Wow.
And I can hear this grunting going on. And then I could hear a thump, thump, a big heavy thump, like a big animal was running off.
Yeah.
And so we started to go towards it in that direction. And I got this telepathic message to stay back, do not approach,
Wow.
stay back. So I told my cousin, I says, I'm getting a message, we better stay here a while. It was very apprehensive. And even though they, in that dream or whatever it was, they were nice to me, it's still apprehensive when you see one.
Yep.
It's very intimidating.
Yep.
And so after a while, I was feeling better. So we started to walk towards it. And we got into this little clearing, and there was a hill, I don't know, off about maybe 300-400 feet from where we were at. And we both saw there was 3 animals going over the top of the crest of this hill, and then they disappeared. But it was so quick. I'm not sure what they were. I can't really say if that was them, but I'm sure it was. And so I started to investigate local sightings. And after that, I interviewed a lady that delivered parts there's a coal mine up above where this happened. Okay. And she would deliver parts up there. And I was talking to her, and she was delivering parts up there one day, and she saw 4 of them. Wow. On the side of the road, 2 adults and what she described as 2 juveniles. But I have reports from the 2 coal truck drivers hauling coal out of there. One almost hit one. Wow. That ran out in front of him. Another one had to drive off under the shoulder of the road to go around one. Yeah. He was standing in the middle of the road. And then I have 3 more reports. One was a BLM worker, but I can't use her name. Yeah. I'm not supposed to talk about their experiences. But that was it, basically.
So your friend just died recently, right? This is former sightings you had, yeah.
Yeah, my second partner, he died here. I guess it was pretty close to a year ago.
And that's when you had the experience where they took you.
Yeah.
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 And what? So give me your take. You've done the Sasquatch thing. We're supposed to do a big guy in Ontario, so I want to ask you, what's your take on it? Do you think they're hiding there? Do you think they're being dropped off? Is there a connection to UFOs? And most importantly for you and I, what's the spiritual connection to this whole thing?
Well, the spiritual connection for me is the Daryl coming back from the afterlife and telling, and not warning me, but telling me that something wonderful was going to happen. Yeah. That's the one connection I can make with it. And how I discussed with you, told you about Elby taking me to these different planes, dimensional planes.
Yeah, you mentioned the one with your mother. I don't know about the others, but you said there was more than one.
Oh, yeah, there was quite a few of them.
Why would you have the spiritual, being shown to different levels and stuff? Because a lot of people, I think you're one of the few people that's described that.
Yeah, there's the first one. Oh, how do I go about saying this? When it first started to happen, I was having these contacts, ET contacts.
Okay, this is about 2010, right? I mean, you start with LP?
Yeah, this was right around 2000. I had
2000, okay.
an encounter when I was living and working in Hawaii.
Okay.
I had 2 encounters there. And they actually took me aboard a craft. But it was about that time I started to get into the paranormal, you know, ghost hunting, and this is all related, every bit of it.
Yeah.
And I started, and I'm somewhat a religious person. I'm LDS, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember a passage in the Bible that says that if you ask, ye shall receive.
Yeah, okay.
So I started asking and meditating both.
Okay.
I wanted to witness and see some of the mysteries of God.
Okay.
And this went on for years. And then all of a sudden, this weird stuff started happening. LB appeared, started coming to me.
And describe LB again for people that might be watching for the first time.
Okay, he's a being about 5.5 foot tall. He's got a large cranium.
Yeah.
He's fairly dark brown colored, real rough looking skin.
Yeah.
He's got big black, not completely round, but nearly round eyes. A very small, not quite pointed, but a very small, petite chin,
yeah.
Mouth, nose, no hair. And then he's got 3 ridges on the top of his head. There's a center ridge and then 2 smaller ones,
okay.
One off to each side. And 3 fingers and a thumb, long fingers, long arms. His arms would hang almost clear down to his knees.
Yeah.
And but anyways, he started manifesting. And then I started having these weird paranormal occurrences. I'd sit down on the couch, and then I'd find myself where I couldn't move. And then I'd find myself floating out of my body.
Yeah.
And at first, I could see my astral body. And most of the time, it was just walking around in the living room or outside the house. And this went on quite a few times. And then it started to manifest as when I would leave my body, I would be like a white light.
Okay.
And I could see the glow from it.
Okay.
And I'd be up on the ceiling, and I could see myself laying on the couch.
Okay.
And then I started thinking about where I'd want to travel and stuff. And I'd go to, back to California where I grew up.
Okay.
I would just go everywhere, anywhere I wanted. Anything I thought of, that's where I'd go.
And you go instantaneously, just think about it and you were there?
Just the speed of thought.
Okay.
And I'd be there. And my sister, well, after that, when it started happening, I would there would be no light. I didn't have an astral body, but it was like pure consciousness. LB started, when I got to that point, LB would start showing up. And then he would take me to these different levels or planes. Dolores Cannon, I read her books, Convoluted Universe.
Yeah.
And she talks about different planes or levels of existence.
So what would be the difference between the levels in terms of things that you would see? So compare one level to another, just to
Okay, the first level he took me to was one of the lower levels.
Okay.
And it was just a solid gray void. You couldn't see a top, you couldn't see a bottom.
Yeah.
There was nothing in there. It was just like a thick gray fog.
Yeah.
And when he took me to that one, LB showed up to me, and there was others there that I could feel, but they were invisible.
Okay.
And he was just telling me that they traveled the vast distances by transversing the different dimensions.
Yeah.
And he had this device there, and he was showing it to me. And he said, with this device, we can transverse the distances of the cosmos, of space. And it's easy, it's faster to get from point A to point B by going through the dimensions.
Is this something he's holding?
No, this is a fairly large machine. It was there was about, it looked like a disc about 5 feet in diameter.
Wow.
And it sounded like there was something spinning inside of it.
Okay.
And there was a beam of light coming off the top, and it looked like it just went forever. And it was sitting on like a round pedestal. But like I say, you couldn't see there was no solid looking ground that it was sitting on. And so anyway, that was one. And another one, I went back to California, and I was over the LA airport, and I was watching where US 101 goes. There's a tunnel that goes underneath the runway.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there watching that, and I says, I'd sure like to see this, what it looked like back in 1940.
Wow.
See the difference. And then pretty soon I heard LB's voice, and this big thick fog came. And then when the fog left, there was the airport was still there, but it was nothing. There was no tunnel. There wasn't a runway right there. And all the cars were these old 1940s and 30s and 20s cars.
Wow. Running
around. And LB says, this is what it looked like in 1940. And it was neat.
Wow. Amazing. And then you had the one with your mother. That would be
I had two of them.
Is there a higher plane other than the one that your mother showed you?
No, LB told me that this is the highest plane, and that when I die, this is where I will be.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah, it is. That gray world didn't look too promising to me. But the first time I saw my mom, I had laid down on the couch. I was just extremely tired that day. And then all of a sudden, I found myself floating out of my body. And I was looking down on it. But I didn't have an astral body. I was just an invisible
consciousness type.
Consciousness. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. Awareness. Yeah.
And so LB says, I'm going to take you to and show you the upper planes. So he took me to this. It was like a garden. It was beautiful. The colors were vivid. And my mom was there. But she didn't have a body. You couldn't see her, but I could feel her presence.
Okay.
And we could talk to each other telepathically.
Okay.
And off in the distance was this same building that I told you about.
Yeah.
It looked like a temple, but we didn't go to it on the first time.
Okay.
I just stayed there.
So it looked like a Mormon temple? Is it like
Have you ever seen the Manti Temple?
No.
In Manti, Utah. Manti, Utah.
No, I just saw the one a couple times we went to the one in Salt Lake, the big one.
Yeah, it was like the one in Manti.
Okay.
It looked quite a bit like it, but it was smaller. It was only about the size of a small house.
Wow. Okay.
But the inside of it was vast.
Okay, so you mentioned that before. How much bigger was the inside than the outside?
I would say probably about 10 times bigger.
Wow. Because you know that's described in UFOs as well. That people,
Yeah.
that the UFO is way bigger on the inside. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that from other abductees.
Yeah.
So anyways, I told my mom, she says it was time for you to go back. You can't stay here very long.
Yeah.
And I never heard from LB anymore after this. It's just everything turned white, and then I woke up on the couch.
Okay.
And then the next time, it was basically the same thing. It was like I laid down on the couch and everything, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
It seemed like that's how it always starts. And then I found myself raising out of my body up towards the ceiling again.
Yeah.
Then I found myself in the same garden with my mom.
Okay.
And off in the distance on this little hill is this little, I call it a mini temple.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And we start heading towards it. And we go inside. It had like a set of double doors on it.
Yeah.
And we went inside, and it was just massive inside there.
Yeah.
Compared to the outside.
Yeah.
And we went in there, and there were pillars on on the walls, and between the pillars was these big, looked like paintings, huge.
Yeah.
And each one had a scene from my mom's life.
Wow.
In it. And she told me that when you die, everybody has a room like this.
Okay.
And then this portal opens up, and I could see my dad.
Okay.
In there, and it was a room just exactly like that. Then it closed up, and then another portal opens up, and it was my grandmother's.
Oh, wow.
And so it closed back up, and then we floated down, kind of glided down to the other end of the room, and there was a large table down there with crystals
you told me that.
sticking up. And each crystal has a family member or a pet. The smaller ones had, were for animals, pets.
Wow.
And each one had the entire life of that person or animal from birth to death.
Wow.
On it.
Wow.
And then she told me that I won't have one until I die. Or anybody won't have one.
Yeah, it makes sense. Wow.
So anyways, then she says, I have a place of my own on the edge of a really beautiful forest. I got deer, animals, all kinds of stuff there. He says, I want to show you, but I'm not allowed to.
Wow.
You can't. You're not allowed to see it at this time.
Wow.
And she says, it's time for you to go back. And I said, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. I don't want to go back to this earth.
Yeah.
I've had enough of it. And so everything turns of kind of a fuzzy white, and then I wake up on the couch.
Wow.
But on these trips I've taken, I've been to I went to the dark side, the back side of the moon one time.
Okay.
And then I went out into the ocean. I wanted to see if there was a base, alien base off of Catalina Island.
Okay.
Because I've heard so much about it.
Yeah. And what happened?
And well, I got over, it was the northwest corner of the island. And it was probably about, 4 miles off of the shore.
Okay.
And I started to go underwater, and I'll tell you, I'm deathly afraid of water. I panic when I take a shower.
Yeah.
If I put my face under the.
Yeah.
But anyways, it felt totally natural. It felt like there was nothing wrong with it. And I went clear down to the bottom, and there was this saucer-shaped craft sitting on the ocean floor.
Wow.
But I could see inside. I didn't go inside of it, but I could see through the shell of it.
Okay.
And there was 3 big, what looked like mail bags laying in there. And the middle one started to move around, and it opens up, and entity, he comes out.
Wow.
And he just stares at me. And I got real scared because I knew he knew I was there. And I said, it's time to go back. And as soon as I thought that, it was just instantaneously, I woke up on the couch.